Welcome, everyone. I'm Lisa Van Ostrian. I'm president of the Barbara Brennan International Center for Research and Healing, and I'd like to welcome you to our presentation today for honoring our Indigenous heritage. This is going to be a four-part series, and what a great way to start our week of Thanksgiving with this series. And just a couple of reminders before I turn it over to Rebecca. This is being recorded, so for people who are unable to join us live, so please keep yourself on mute during the presentation. And we're going to ask people, because ceremony is going to be performed, and this is a very space of deeply honoring, we're going to ask people to please not chat, as it can be distracting. So we really appreciate your cooperation with that in advance. If there's a technical problem, of course, that's okay, but otherwise to just be mindful of that. And so without further hesitation, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. Rebecca is one of our former teachers at Barbara Brennan School of Healing. She held the position of Year 3 Dean for many, many years, and it gives me such great pleasure for her and the others who she's going to be introducing you shortly to share the wisdom of their traditions. And we're deeply honored for Rebecca and Amy and Haroun to be presencing this for us. So thank you so much. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, I must admit that I notice in my heart trembling. So I'll just say that to begin, and then I'll talk about why. First, I want to introduce the people who are holding this with me, who are here on this call. There's Haroun Soumah, wait, and Enoka Alston. And at some point, Amy's elder teacher may come on the line, and we may also give reverence to that teacher. So also, my teacher, Rosie Neural, who is a Lakota pipe carrier, a very heavyweight, real, live Lakota pipe carrier, is backing us up right now. I got a text from her just a couple minutes before coming on with you, and she is praying on the pipe for all of our prayers today and for our world. And when I contacted her initially to ask her if she would back us up, she's going to back us up in each one of these segments. She said, "The world needs the prayers, Rebecca." I said, "But Rosie, I never talk about my Native heritage ever to anyone." And she said, "Rebecca, the world needs the prayers. Let's pray together." Think of it that way. So the reason why I tremble is because and I might cry here a little, in my childhood, I was never permitted to talk about my Native American ancestry ever. If I asked my mother a question about it, my mother's lineage is where we have the ancestry, she would never answer me. She spoke in silence. She grew up on the reservation in Shiprock, New Mexico, very, very small town full of beautiful medicine people. I remember one time talking to Walking Thunder, who is a medicine woman from Shiprock, New Mexico, who, when she was a little child, she caught a frog, toad, that was under a cactus. And she brought it to the medicine man who was riding a horse at that time, and he took it. he took it into his hand, he put it inside of a glass of water, he made a prayer, took it outside the glass of water, and he said to her, okay, now go put it back under the cactus. The rain is coming. And in fact, within minutes, the rain came. And the rain was badly needed. That's the terrain that my mother grew up in. We're part Cherokee. Our family lineage was on the Trail of Tears. And I can feel them now. I feel like I could cry. The Trail of Tears was horrific beyond words. The Native people were rounded up. The Cherokee people in North Carolina had beautiful homes, property. They grew their food. They were self-sustainable. And then Andrew Jackson got his people to come and rounded them up. And many of the elders and many of the children were killed. And they were forced to walk from North Carolina all the way to Oklahoma, lots of times without even shoes in the wintertime. The ones that survived by the grace of the Great Spirit. And I do have a few family members who did survive that and probably survived through their prayers. But when they got to Oklahoma, their history is that they abdicated their ancestral ways and pretty much all became ministers to survive. They took on Christianity and they became ministers. And it wasn't until this generation, well, I can't say that's 100% true because my grandmother used to disappear for 3 or 4 days at a time with medicine people. But again, she never, ever, ever talked about it. She'd just disappear and she'd come back. We'd see her under the willow tree and she'd say, she's pulling my hair today, she would say about the willow tree. So it wasn't just my grandmother, but we were never allowed to talk about it. But it was this generation now, my generation, these children that my mother and her siblings bore. We are the ones who have had this kind of awakening that has happened to us without our even asking for it, without our even knowing it. So I'm going to tell you about a story of something that really happened to me. It's not the first. There's so many impactful stories that I could tell you. But this is one of the things that happened to me, and there's a message in it. Maybe some of you have heard it before, maybe you haven't. There's a message in it that's important for right now. And this really happened to me. There could be many. This is the one I picked. I was in the 1990s, late 1990s. I was going through a very difficult relationship and it was ending. And that person and myself decided to go on a hike up the mountains behind Boulder. And presumably, I think, I had had a relationship to that mountain for many lifetimes, probably. So we left about 12 noon to take this hike up the mountain. And when we were hiking up the mountain, I decided at one point to just sit on a ledge and pray. Just talk to the Great Spirit, that which is the divine, supreme consciousness beyond silence. And just ask for guidance, ask for a way forward in this difficulty. Relationships have often been one of the ways in which I have grown and learned through very painful lessons. So I sat on the edge of this cliff and I prayed, and I opened my eyes, and I looked at the beautiful sky, the thunder beings, and in the sky, in front of my very eyes, the clouds formed into the heads of elders with long braids. And so I just thought, wow, I'm seeing that. That happened. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Okay, let me walk up the mountain. So I began to walk up the mountain with this person, and there were two other people who came behind us. They were from Ohio. I didn't know them, a man and his son. And along the way, a very old man came with a cane. He's coming down the mountain, and he said, "Young lady, you shouldn't be going up the mountain right now." I wanted to get to the Continental Divide, which was way above the tree line. It's too dangerous for you to get to the Continental Divide now. The thunderstorms come in at 3 o'clock, and so many people have been struck by lightning. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, I don't know, rocks, this mountain have always healed me. Rocks have always healed me. When I don't feel good, I go and I lay on a rock. Let me just keep going. Let me keep going. This rock will do something for me. And I kept walking up the mountain. We all did. And we walked and walked and walked and walked and walked for hours. And we were well above the tree line. In fact, just approaching the Continental Divide when we turned around to take in the magnificence of what was there. And in fact, a raging storm was headed right for us. Right for us. And there was no place to hide. There was no rock that you could go under. There was no tree. There was no place to hide. So I said to all of them, just wait here a second. Because I remembered I'd just seen those elders in the sky. And I knew I wasn't alone. And I went out to the edge of the rock again, and I said, look, I know you saw me. I saw you. If you need to take someone right now, take me. I'm ready. I'm coming. But if you don't need to take me or any of us, then help us. And at that moment, the clouds literally parted like this on either side of the mountain. And I heard a voice inside my head that said, go down the mountain now. You have exactly 1 hour. So I turned to the people who I was with and I said, we have to go down now. We have only an hour. And we began to immediately descend. And we walked down the mountain, and almost an hour later, just at the moment that I put my foot inside the tree line, at that exact moment, the clouds came together, the storm came together and hit that mountain like a raging storm. And the kid, who I never found out who he was, from Ohio, said to his father, Dad, no one would believe this. I have to go back out on the rocks and I've got to take a picture of this because there's no way anyone will believe this. I need to take the video of it. And I said, oh no, don't do that. And he said, I have to do that. And I said, okay. So I went inside myself and I prayed again, please protect that child who has to take this video of this kind of thing in order to believe that it's actually true and happening. Please protect them. And I began to descend the mountain. We went down the mountain, got in our car, and we waited there until the father and the son came down. And they did, and they made it alive. And that's that story. All of us have stories, all of us. The reason why I wanted to tell you that one, a few went through my head of ones that I wanted to tell you, but the reason why I wanted to tell you that one is because right now with coronavirus, the UN, I got an email yesterday saying that 50 million people, the UN is saying, are going to be out of food. Many people have no place to live. Although the political climate looks like it's calming down, we never really do know. What is happening in the world has kind of brought all of us to our knees. It's a storm, like the storm I was in. And don't forget, I'm just like a normal person. I'm not a special person. I'm not different from you. But I do pay attention, maybe because of the silence of my mother all those years and the way she taught through absolute silence. I do pay attention to that which is subtle. I do pay attention to who's flying over my house, meaning, is it a raven? Is it an eagle? Has a hawk landed, come here, sat outside my healing room window and watched my healing? That has happened. Has the coyote come, which happened also when I'm sitting on my porch praying at 4 a.m. and the coyote comes and sits with me 10 feet away from me for a good hour. Coyotes are the ancestors. Have those things happened? Has the spider whose hole I had to disturb when I was picking the weeds out and I asked it to move for a little while, it moved for a little while and waited for me till I could redig the hole and said, okay, I've remade your home. And then he walked back into his home. Or the rattlesnake along the road as I go on my lunch hours singing in the neighborhood my chants, which I do a lot, in order to put the vibration over in the neighborhood of protection. And that rattlesnake there on the road that I passed took one step and then something pinched my arm and I said, ow. And when I turned, there was the rattlesnake. And I looked at the rattlesnake and I said, you get off of this road. If you stay on the road, you might get run over by a car. And the rattlesnake lifted its head and turned and wiggled off the road. So just pay attention. Pay attention to the subtle or demonstrative ways in which that which is all around us wants to talk to us. One day I woke up and I hear a voice in my head say, clean the sheets on your bed today. Like, okay, I will. And as I'm taking the bed apart, on my pillow right next to my head, where my head had been laying, was one of the most poisonous scorpions we have in Arizona, curled up next to me. And so I put it in a jar because, you know, my husband would never believe me. And I used to save them for him to see, to prove, so that when he would come home, he could see this is really real. And then I talked to them, scorpions, okay, I don't have a gun. I don't want a gun. I have my prayers. I'm going to save your life. If anyone ever comes here to bother me, I'm going to pray and ask you to help me out. Let's just have all the scorpions have a little march to the front door and help me out. I put it in the backyard. That's sort of my life. It's the way my life is. It's knowing that everything matters. Everything. Everything counts. And knowing also that we are always protected. All it takes for us to talk to that which is beyond words is sincerity of our heart. And that's actually not that hard. But it's, for me, extremely private. It's not showy. So I almost never talk with anybody about these things. Talking to you because Rosie said the world needs the prayers, and because Lisa asked. So now I encourage you to share your stories, not here today, we don't have the time, we're going to do a ceremony in a few minutes, but to share your stories with your friends. My father, who was not Native, but before he died, he said to me, people have to share their stories with each other. Our world can't bear it if we don't share our extraordinary stories. Because every time we share a story with somebody else, they realize it's possible. All these demonstrations of the divine supreme consciousness are possible for all of us. You don't have to be Native and have Native blood. If you do, you might get special kind of like prayers, dreams and stuff. But some people I know get those dreams anyway. Okay, so why don't we go into the sacred prayer circle? The requirements I wrote are sincerity, come from your heart, let it not be for show. Know that this is like a bank account that you have in the great supreme divine consciousness somewhere in the cosmos that is going to add up somewhere. One of my teachers says that following that light is a great insurance policy, better than anything you can get here on this earth. Come from your heart. Allow it to be unbelievably simple. Just you talking to that, whatever that is, that great spirit. Now, normally, if I was in the room with Rosie, we would cover all the mirrors. We would do it at night. We would not have eaten. And we would come into the room where we were going to do the prayer circle, and we would be in silence, and we would seal the circle with cornmeal. So I encourage you to take your place in the circle. Any direction you want to be in, each direction holds something a little bit different and holds a bit of a different responsibility for you. And visualize that the prayer circle is surrounded by cornmeal. And I'm going to use my little Navajo rattle, my circle rattle. I have my turtle rattle here too, but when I call in the directions, I'll do that. I hope it doesn't disturb you too much. Wankan Tonkin, great sacred spirit. That which has the power over everything, that which is beyond silence, that which is all pervading, all seeing, all witnessing, that which is that deepest form of purity, of consciousness, and of compassion. We call on you now this circle and as far as this circle extends. And we welcome you. Please come. Speak through us. Love through us. Hear through us. See through us. Know through us. And act through us. And I call in now the south direction, whose messenger is the bald eagle, whose color is white. The terrain of the south direction is that of new life, of warmth, of happiness, of generosity and nourishment of every different kind. The south is the place where new growth starts. The south is the terrain of the animal people. Call you in and ask you to come and give us your beautiful support today. And I also call in the west direction, whose messenger is the black eagle, whose color is black, whose terrain is the thunder beings, the clouds in the sky, who brings the rain and the power of the rain and the purity after we've been washed by the rain, who brings joy to us after the water has nourished the earth and is purified, and new plants or other plants can grow upon it. It gives us life. The thunder beings also release ignorance. We welcome you today. We know that you are our direct descendants. Human, dog, horse, and thunder beings. Welcome. And I call in the north direction, whose messenger is the crane, whose color is red, whose terrain is cold weather, the winter, where good health and growth is promoted, who helps all who have strayed from the straight path to come back onto it. Call upon the north direction, whose home is where the white buffalo calf pipe woman is and the buffalo people are. Come and be with us today. And I call on the east direction, whose messenger is the brown eagle, whose color is yellow, whose terrain is the terrain of the beautiful sun, the morning light, the light for all of creation, who holds the key to enlightenment, and who is the home of the elk people. I call on Father Sky and Mother Earth. My very own mother, who allows me to walk upon her, who allows me to sit in her lap whenever I want, who grows the beautiful food that humanity can eat. I just pray for you, Mother, now. I pray for where you hurt. And I pray for your healing. I want to call in, and I want to ask each of you to call in at the same time. The lineages of your ancestors. So standing behind you, going back, 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 back. On your right side, see the lineage of your father, your father's father and mother, their father and mother. Back and back and back and back and back, and welcome them. They had much to teach us in this life. Sometimes through very hard, painful lessons, just exactly the right lesson for each person. And now on your left side, call in the lineage of your mother. My mother came through Shiprock. Before that, her father and mother lived in Lewis, Colorado. They discovered and uncovered that town at the northwest corner of Mesa Verde. Bring in your lineage that goes back and back and back and back. And now call in the ancestors that you have known from the lifetimes in the past. All of those, those who could speak freely and those who could not speak because to speak was dangerous. Give them room. Listen with your subtle ears to them. And I call in respect all the teachers I've had. I've had so many teachers in this life. So many, I can't even name them all. Teachers who called themselves teachers. And teachers who did the teaching by way of silence or by way of ignoring or by way of cruelty. I've learned so many things from all my teachers. I call you in here and I honor you. I honor my ancestors. I honor the directions. I want to pray in the way now that Rosie taught me. I want to pray for the one-legged that stand upon this earth, giving us oxygen, providing warmth, providing shade. I want to pray for the two-legged. Those of us that are fortunate enough to have this lifetime to walk this earth. I want to pray for the four-legged. All the beautiful animals. That walk on this earth, that show us and guide us. The spider, she knows when it's going to rain. If you watch her closely, she goes into her little hiding place right before the rain will come. She carries the knowledge of the universe. But not just her. creatures of the waters and the winged, the 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth. I pray that these 5 elements, which are in everything, come into a balance for us, for our precious Mother Earth, our precious, precious Mother. Specifically, I want to ask for the help of all of these beings that I've mentioned, helping us now with the sickness that runs rampant on this earth right now. I personally have known so many people who have died from this pandemic. I've known so many people who have come very close to dying, but made it through, but are still sick. And people have so many illnesses now. Cancer is here, heart disease, so many diseases. Help the people who are suffering. Help the animals who are suffering. Help the winged who are suffering. Help our Mother Earth who is suffering. I pray for truth, for each of us to know truth, for each of us to be able to discern what is a lie and what is truth, what is poison and what is nourishment. I pray for the eradication and the healing in each one of us of the 6 demons that plague us: anger, lust, jealousy, greed, attachment, and intoxication or illusion. I pray that those who are lost on their path will find guidance, will have a demonstration from the divine supreme consciousness of the light, something to follow. I pray for all the people who are hungry. Please bring them food. I pray for all of us to become generous and share with each other. It's a traditional way. If someone comes and asks you for food, always give it. Never don't give it. Always give it. No one should be hungry. Everyone should have a safe space, a home. We don't need too much money, but in this world, we seem to need some money. I pray that everyone has some money. I pray that everyone has a safe place. I pray that the disturbance in the minds of all sentient beings calms and becomes balanced. And that when it's not balanced, someone is there to reach out to them, to tell them, don't worry, everything will be all right. Some sign. I pray that we really start to know that nature is part of us, part of our worldly family, and we are part of it. I pray for mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical balance and healing. I pray to respect all beliefs that anyone has, all religious beliefs, no matter what they are, that we respect them. And now I want to take you on a little journey. Because I know our prayers are heard. I ask you to go into your heart. Find the aspect of yourself, the part of yourself that wants to go outside itself to find out what truth is, that wants to go outside of itself to seek approval. That wants to go outside of itself to distract itself from loneliness. For whatever reason, that aspect of you and of me that wants to go outside of ourselves, go and find that in your heart. Bring with you this army of sentient and subtle beings. It's such a huge community. It is pure light. And when you find that aspect of yourself, let you and this army meet that aspect with gentleness and kindness and compassion. For me, I hold her on my lap in my vision, and sometimes she weeps. Sometimes she's very still, almost like she thinks she shouldn't move. I just touch her. And let her take in the warmth. I acknowledge her. I tell her I see her. Pay attention to this part of you. Tell this part of you that you will take care of this part of you. Tell this part of you that you will listen. Tell this part of you that you will seek the knowledge with this part of you. Holding it. Because inside of it is a huge light that has all the answers you need, all the answers I need. And as you hold that aspect of the light, expand it. Expand it now outward to all of who we've mentioned so far. Mother Earth, Father Sky, the beings of the water, of the winged, the four-legged, the eight-legged, the two-legged, the one-legged, all the directions. Let that light that you found and expanded in these moments pervade everything, touch everything. And if you feel comfortable, Ask that the confusion and the chaos that's here now calm a little. Ask that kind, respectful values be restored. Rest in this light. Trust in this light. Commit to faith in this light. If you want to, ask that this light gives you physical demonstrations of itself in your world. If you want to, promise to take notice of those. And come back again and again. To the sanctity, the sacredness, the preciousness, the beauty of where we've been today. I thank everyone who's been here with us, who is us. I'm so grateful for this life. And just to be able to pray with all of you, it makes it especially important in my heart and precious to me. It's usually so private for me, and now we can all share this here together. Thank you. And I'm going to release the directions now. Release the direction of the east. Thank you. Release the direction of the north. Thank you. Aho mitakuasi. I release the direction of the west. Thank you. Aho mitakuasi. And I release the direction of the south. Aho mitakuasi. And I have so much gracious gratitude for Father Sky and Mother Earth. Thank you for letting me walk upon you. Thank you for letting us walk upon you and showing us the way. Aho mitakuasi. I'm not sure I know how to do this, Lisa. So if we have a few minutes and we can hear from anyone who wants to talk. I'm not that good at computer stuff. And is there anyone who wants to say anything? Lisa, can you run that and I'll mute?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, so I think if you'd like to share, you could just unmute your mic, and again, we have some moments for sharing.
This is Jennifer, and I'm an invitee, and I thank you. I'm from South America, and so my culture is different but beautiful and similar all at once. And when you took us to that place where our ancestors were called, I saw this myriad, this beautiful, it's like this circle that was so huge and so many people so far out, I couldn't see faces after a while. And I had all these people surrounding me, and on my right and on my left and all around me. And it was so powerful, and it was so connected. And I thank you for allowing me. It's the first time in my life I've been able to connect to so many of my ancestors. I thank you. I thank you. Thank you. Yate.
Thank you, Rebecca. This is Susan, and I feel like I'm home. I feel home.
Thank you, Susan. So we have 5 minutes left. And you're welcome to share. I want to thank Lisa also for making this possible, and Randall for helping with the logistics. But Lisa, thanks for your brilliant creations.
And this is Wana, and you can probably see the reaction. But when you called directions and you said names in probably the native language, I reacted very, very strongly. I don't yet understand the power of language. I'm not Native American. I wish I were. Maybe I was. But there's enormous power and love in that language, and I hope it gets preserved and passed on. I feel like there's nothing more important than we recover this culture. And if there's anything I can do for it, I've already asked many times. Thank you for this circle. And something else, when but that's maybe more of a question. I felt so held in the directions. I didn't want you to release them. And I am not sure why we can't keep them always with us. So I asked to not release them just yet. Thank you.
Amy or Haruna, is there anything you would like to say? Amy's going to be giving the teaching the next time in the end of December. We have some and then Haruna will give it in January, and we'll see, to be announced for February. But we have some very hard astrological configurations coming up, especially for North America, but for the whole world. And so we wanted to do this close to the eclipse, which is coming soon. There are two eclipses coming soon that are very tough. So if you feel called every day to make your prayers for our world, we need it. We actually need it. And prayers, they really make a difference. That's part of the teaching of that story. Prayers make a difference. I just asked for guidance and help, and they showed up. If you ask for guidance and help, they'll show up for you too. Amy or Haruna, do you just want to say something in closure here?
I'm going to give my time over to Amy so that she can introduce her elder.
Thank you, Haruna. Rebecca, thank you for such a touching ceremony. In the next ceremony in honoring of our Indigenous culture, I will be presencing and honoring my Hawaiian lineage. Today on the call, and I don't know, Kumu, are you there? He's got his mic and his video off. But if you're there, we'd love to see you or hear you.
I am here. Aloha mai kakou.
And there you go.
E kalamai, excuse me for that of, there's not much lighting where I'm at right now. Rebecca, mahalo for your prayers. And in case you didn't understand, people, mahalo is thank you for your prayers.
Thank you.
But I will see all of you on December 27th, I think it was.
29th.
29th. Well, I'll show up 2 days earlier and prepare to the 29th.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Kumu. And we will speak to the theme of forgiveness and the unresolved grief. As we go into the new year. So thank you.
So hold on and hold steadfastly to your faith in that which is holding us all, that which is what is real, especially through whatever is coming. And keep your prayers going. Pray for all of humanity. Kathy Bauer, you want to say something? Okay, Lisa, you can want to do
Just want to say thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Haruna. I am deeply receiving your offering. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lisa, do you want to do the closure?
Sure. I'm not really sure what else to say other than what's already been present. That was so beautiful, so moving, and so full of presence and heartness. And thank you all to everyone who attended, and to you, Rebecca and Haruna and Amy, for presencing and allowing us to participate in this. And so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And we look forward to seeing you next time. And I believe we'll be sending out other email reminders of this and other events that we're going to be having as well. So thank you so much. And for those that are in America, I hope, or if you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope that everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate, I hope that you have a wonderful week of gratitude. Thank you so much.